Good morning. Welcome to Unity Longmont Spiritual Center on April 25th, 2021. And this morning we are blessed to have Faith Halverson Ramos providing us with music, and I will be doing the talk and meditation. So we will begin with music, please.
This song is called There Is Only One of Us by Melissa Philippe. There is only one of us. In your eyes, it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one of us. In your eyes, it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. You are my reflection. There is only one.
Thank you, Faith. And it's at this time that we go into prayer together. And we start that by taking a breath with each other. Beloved presence, we are joyous to be together this morning. We celebrate the coming of spring, the return of birds and flowers, and perhaps an emergence within ourselves of greater spirituality and connection to you. We also always celebrate the unique divine expression that we each are as we show up in our lives. And so it is. We'll have a piece of music, please.
This is There Is Only One Mind by Susie Ogden. There is only one mind in which we all live and move and have our being. There is only one heart in which we all live and move. God and I are one. There is only one mind in which we all live and move and have our being. There is only one heart in which we all live and move. God and I are one. God and I are one.
Thank you, Faith. So, once upon a time, a long, long time ago, far, far away, there was a princess. And she was very happy with her lot in life. She had everything she needed. And one day she was sitting outside playing with her favorite toy, a golden ball. And as she tossed it up in the air, she failed to catch it. And it landed deeply in a spring. And she lamented and she cried. And suddenly a frog's head appeared beneath the spring and said, "Why are you crying? What is wrong?" And she said, "I've lost my favorite toy." He said to her, "I will get that ball for you if you agree to marry me." The ball meant so much to her that she agreed to this ludicrous promise. He dove down deep, he grabbed the gold ball, and he returned it to her. She grabbed it and she ran back to the castle, ignoring the frog. Well, that night about dinner time, there's a knock knock at the big castle door, and the door is opened, and there's the frog, and he is saying, "You promised to marry me." And she slams the door closed. And her father, the king, says, "What is going on?" And so she tells him the story of the promise she made. And he said, "You have to uphold your promise. You have to marry this frog." So the king invites the frog in, and the frog asks to be placed on the table next to the princess's dish of dinner so that he can eat off of her plate. She is disgusted. This is abhorrent to her. But what choice does she have? So the frog eats, and then he says to her, "Take me to your bedroom and allow me to sleep on your bed." Oh my God, that just sounds awful. So he follows her up the steps to the bedroom. When they get inside, she recognizes she's going to have to pick him up and put him on the bed, and she just can't bring herself to even consider that. What she does instead, though, is pick him up and throw him against the wall. And magically, he becomes a prince. And then they are both happy. The king accepts the prince frog as his son-in-law. Way, way far away, also long ago, something else was happening. Another prince was longing for a wife. His life was good, but he longed for a wife. And he had interviewed all kinds of princesses, and none of them suited him well. They all seemed kind of callous and rude and arrogant. And it was raining really, really hard one night, and there's a knock at his castle door. He opens the door, and there's a young, beautiful woman, completely drenched. And she says to him, "I am a princess, and I need a place to stay. I have lost my way." So he doesn't think she's a princess. I mean, she's not dressed fancy. She doesn't have a crown. She doesn't have all kinds of people with her taking care of her. But, he's a good host. So he invites her in, and they're eating a meal. And the queen is introduced to this purported princess. She doesn't believe it either. So she sets up a trap to discern whether this is a princess. She sets up a bed with a huge mattress and 20 feather comforters on top and a tiny, tiny pea underneath all of that. So the princess is shown to her room. She sleeps. No, she doesn't. She doesn't sleep. She tosses and turns all night long. And in the morning, she is asked, "How was your sleep?" And she said, "I couldn't sleep at all. There was something really hard and painful in the bed. I couldn't sleep at all." And the queen smiles, for now she knows she is a princess, that she's sensitive enough to be a princess. And she and the prince marry. So what do these two fairy tales have in common? The frog and the wet princess are both sensitive. He is sensitive to the princess's tears when she lost her ball. The princess is sensitive physically. Her central nervous system is so sensitive she picks up on the tiny pea. What does sensitivity have to do with you and me? I don't know if you're familiar with it, but in the mid-1990s, a psychologist, Elaine Aron, discovered something she called the highly sensitive person. She has been doing research since then, as have many others. And the highly sensitive person is about 20% of our population. The highly sensitive person was often told as a child, you're high strung, you're too sensitive, you take things too personally, etc. Some aspects of being the highly sensitive person therefore sound like it might be a struggle, but it need not be, in part because generally the highly sensitive person is very spiritual, very spiritual. The highly sensitive person processes information very deeply and very meaningfully and picks up on subtle cues, therefore developing high intuition. So, as I tell you more about what it is to be a highly sensitive person, I invite you to consider, are you one? And what are the gifts? So, over 100 years ago, Carl Jung determined that some people have an innate sensitiveness. He was one of them. I don't know if you know the history of the relationship between he and Freud, but they were very, very different men. They approached healing very differently. And one of those differences was that Carl Jung was very sensitive. He was also very artistic and creative. So, highly sensitive nature is a continuum. There are people that are low and sensitive, fitty, medium, and high. And so one of the nicknames for the low is dandelions. One of the nicknames for the medium is tulips. And the nickname for the high is orchid. Because dandelions can grow most anywhere and still thrive. Tulips can grow in many environments and thrive. Orchids need more of a specialized environment. And many of us orchids did not receive that environment growing up because we were a mystery to our family. We were often quite different than them. That does not mean that we can't continue to transform and grow into our orchidness with the gifts that come with that. Some of the characteristics are that highly sensitive people, and I'm just going to say HSPs from here on out, are very creative, open to various experiences, and they may experience a fair amount of guilt or anxiety because of their sensitivity. So that too is something that we all need to deal with, regardless of how sensitive we are. 50% of being a HSP is due to genetics. And it's not just one gene, it's a bunch of different genes across the genome. So when we look at evolution, what is the point of being a highly sensitive person? One is survival. A highly sensitive person picks up on pain sooner and might take care of illnesses sooner. They pick up on danger sooner, and they recognize people that are not safe much more quickly. When does it begin? It begins in the womb. Highly sensitive people are sensitive in the womb to the environment that their mother is in. There's something called DOES, DOES, that addresses these characteristics. The first is depth in processing. The second is overstimulation. HSPs tend to get overwhelmed by a lot of stimulation. Consider a loud party or a carnival, lights flashing, lots of noise, people moving, etc. Because the brain is processing things deeply, the person can get fatigued and overwhelmed. So one of the things that HSPs learn eventually is how to rest, how to take care. They often meditate in order to renew their energy. And they may avoid certain kind of loud, explosive places. They have strong emotions and therefore strong empathy. An HSP feels love deeply, feels sorrow deeply, feels concern deeply. And because of that, they are very empathic, not just to the people they know and love, but even to strangers. And again, they're very sensitive to subtleties. So that makes the spiritual journey more clear when you're able to pick up on signs more quickly and follow them, able to pick up on guidance. And there are lots of differences that have been identified in the brain of an HSP. One is the brain responds differently to dopamine. And we know that dopamine is the pleasure or reward neurotransmitter. And one of the differences is that HSPs tend less to be motivated by external awards and more by internal rewards. The amygdala, which we all know as that alarm system in our brain that triggers us to danger, is also somewhat different in an HSP. In part, how they are different is that if they are doing a task they're really focused on, their amygdala may not jump up and say you're in danger if there's just a lot of noise going around, because their focus, their concentration is so tight. So other parts of the brain are involved, one of them called the seat of consciousness. And how we're learning that that is involved is that this person, the seat of consciousness is that part of the brain that intertwines internal experience and external experience. So it's awareness. So the person that is an HSP has deeper, broader awareness. Again, a very useful tool on the spiritual path. So besides the brain, what else is different? Oh, an important part of the brain is we all have mirror neurons, and perhaps you've heard of them. When we see someone crying, especially if we're an HSP, what comes up for us is the desire to cry, and it may even happen because mirror neurons are what allow us to understand other people's behavior. When our mirror neurons are activated, we will, at a less than conscious level, remember when we have engaged in similar actions and what it meant and how we felt. And so therefore we have like a shortcut to understanding other people's emotions, even if they don't name them. And that's very useful in all relationships. And it's one reason why HSPs are often ministers, therapists, teachers, and leaders. And what anybody needs in order to thrive are certain skills, including boundary setting. You know, imagine that your heart goes out to everyone you ever meet that's ever suffered. And if you're responding to that all the time, you're just going to wear yourself out. So it's important for any of us, whether we're HSPs or not, to learn about boundary setting. And that comes, boundaries, the need for them comes from our gut, from our body. Our gut says, uh-oh, I'm being trespassed, or need to set a boundary. And so if we are really tuned into our bodies, we can learn to do that eventually. And it's imperative for our well-being and for the well-being of other people around us. So there are a lot of gifts to being an HSP. Creativity, openness to different experiences and new ideas, innovation, kindness, empathy, the desire to serve, the desire to help make changes in our world that are better for everyone. And I invite you again to consider, are you part of this 20%? Males and females are equally counted in the 20%. In our culture, it has been more difficult for males who are sensitive. And in the last few years, there have been some beautiful parenting books for how to raise a sensitive son. So we're learning so much. And whether or not you identify as a highly sensitive person, I encourage you to embrace those in your life that are, because they are a gift, as everyone is. And so it is. So right now, I invite us to go into a meditation where we are deeply in our bodies, aware of our bodies, aware of our breath. And if you're comfortable with it, you can close your eyes and become aware of your breathing. Just simply observe it. You don't need to change it. And when you're ready, allow yourself to rest into a deep part of you, that place of consciousness and awareness. And continue to breathe as you become even more aware of your spiritual consciousness, your Christ consciousness. And when you're ready, if you would like to, take a moment to ask this Christ consciousness, which is within you and all beings, what are your gifts? To ask, what are my gifts that I bring to this world? And allow yourself to sit and listen as you breathe. And as you learn of your gifts, simply accept them without any judgment. If they're not clear, if it's not clear how to use them, know that it will become clear. And continue to listen with your consciousness. And know that this conversation may go on beyond this moment, even beyond this day, so that you are able to recognize and use your gifts. And when you're ready, very gently open your eyes, bringing with you awareness of your gifts. And Faith will provide us with a piece of music.
There is Only Love by Michael Gott. In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when I feel I've lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind and hear Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
Thank you, Faith. I'd like to share another story, one I have shared with you before. And it was an experience I had a couple of years ago. It was evening and the sun was setting, so it was getting dark, and my body and mind were ready to slow down, call it an evening. And that divine inner voice that I know to obey, but I don't always, said, go to Michael's. Go to Michael's. Well, I responded and said, I'm too tired. I don't want to do that. Go to Michael's. Really, I can go in the morning? Go to Michael's. Which of us is more stubborn, that voice or myself? All right, so I go to the car, I get in the car, I drive to Michael's Arts and Crafts, And I walk in and I know I'm going to be picking up some art materials, but I also know there may be something else. So I'm alert. And I'm facing a shelf of materials, and I have a sense that something is going on behind me. And I turn and I see this gorgeous young man, and he is accompanied by a black lab. And the black lab is clearly a service dog. I know this is why I am at Michael's. So I say to him, would it be okay if I ask you a question? He said, sure. I said, can I ask you how you trained your dog? I got a puppy a couple of years ago, and I got her to train for a hearing dog. She's just not the right temperament, and I don't know if I've done the training wrong. So he described how he trained his puppy. What he did was get the puppy very, very young and keep it on a leash attached to his own belt for a year, constantly, while awake and asleep. And the dog bonded to him and knew exactly what he needed. And I didn't at this point know why he needed a service dog. So then he told me that one day his dog came and leaned against his stomach and gazed up into his eyes as lovingly as dogs do, and kept leaning into his stomach. And he became aware he'd been having some discomfort in that area. And he went to a physician and found he had stage 4 cancer of the stomach. Thank you, dog. And he learned that any treatment was not necessarily going to be effective and would cost $4,000 a week, and he had no insurance. He had some income, and I don't know where that came from. But what he told me he decided to do instead of the treatment was to provide services to people with PTSD. And I asked him, oh, were you in the military? Because that was my first thought of PTSD. And he said, no, I was the survivor of a school shooting in Oregon the year before Columbine. This young man impacted me so deeply. And as we were getting ready to say goodbye, I pointed at my stomach and I said, what now? And he said, I don't have much time. And I said, you are an angel, and I hope you write a book. We need one. He said, I am writing one, and I hope to finish it. And I'm tired. I'm very tired. And we said goodbye. I don't know what happened for him in his life after that. What I know is that it impacted me to meet this generous young man who was so kind I could feel it with my back turned to him. So I share this story just to encourage all of us to listen to that inner voice, to follow it, to pay attention to subtle signs around us and within us, to be courageous enough to meet the one we are to meet, even when there's sorrow, for there's a gift in that, for sure. And again, there's a gift in us. So at this time, we're going to go into our donation of light and love by again taking a breath together, placing our hands on our heart. And as we breathe, we become increasingly aware of the light and love that live within us at all times. and allowing that light and love to expand beyond our body. To expand to those near and far that can benefit from this divine love and light. And in this moment, we are aware of doing this consciously. And we may want to consider allowing this expansion to occur even when we're not conscious of it. For it is healing and inspiring and a divine gift. And so it is. And we will have another piece of music from Faith.
This is Child of This Universe by Faith Rivera. I am a child of this universe. The ocean dances at my feet. The wind plays a melody through my hair. I am loved at every turn. I am kissed by Mother Earth. I am a child of this universe. The sun warms me in its embrace. The stars have aligned for me in the sky. I am honored by all life. I am held by Father Time. I am a child of this universe. Through my breath, all of life can breathe. I plant the seeds with my every dream. I can love at every turn. Give a kiss to Mother Earth. Yes, I am a child of this universe. I greet the God in each face. I am a channel for peace to flow. Oh, I honor all of life. Yes, I'm one with Father